Okay, imagine this. You're living peacefully on land your family's owned for generations. The government promises it's yours forever. Then one day, they show up with guns. They drag you out. They burn your home. And they force you to walk 1,000 miles through freezing rivers, through disease, through starvation, while your people die around you. This was the Trail of Tears, one of the cruelest betrayals in U.S. history. But here's the wild part. The Cherokee didn't just disappear. They fought back. And today, they're stronger than anyone expected. This is the story of how a nation got revenge without firing a single shot. So let's break down exactly how this betrayal happened. Picture America in the early 1800s. The Cherokee weren't some savage tribe like the government claimed. They had their own written language, a constitution mirroring the U.S. government, even newspapers. They played by the rules. But then gold was discovered on their land in Georgia. Suddenly, white settlers got greedy. Politicians started lying, calling them uncivilized to justify stealing their homeland. And President Andrew Jackson, the guy whose face is on the $20 bill, he straight up ignored the Supreme Court when they ruled the Cherokee had rights to their land. His exact words were, "John Marshall has made his decision, now let him enforce it." This led to the Treaty of New Echota in 1835, one of the dirtiest deals in history. A tiny group of Cherokee who didn't even represent the tribe signed away all their land for basically nothing. Over 15,000 Cherokee protested it. Their chief wrote furious letters to Congress. But in 1838, the U.S. Army showed up anyway. Soldiers dragged families out at gunpoint with no time to pack. No mercy for the elderly. They watched as their homes were looted and burned behind them. Now here's what makes the Trail of Tears so horrifying. This wasn't just a relocation. It was a death march. The government promised wagons, food, medicine. They got none of it. People walked 1,200 miles through blizzards with no shoes. Dysentery and starvation killed them in droves. One soldier later wrote, "I fought in the Civil War, but nothing haunted me like the sounds of Cherokee mothers weeping over their dead children by the roadside." By the end, at least 4,000 were dead. That's 1 in 4 Cherokee. Entire families wiped out. But this is where the story twists. Because the Cherokee, they never surrendered. And what happened next will shock you. Now this is where the Cherokee story turns from tragedy to triumph. Most people assume the Trail of Tears was the end. That after such suffering, the Cherokee just faded away. But that's exactly what the U.S. government wanted you to think. The truth? While Washington celebrated their victory, the survivors were already planning the greatest comeback in Native American history. And their revenge wasn't bloody. It wasn't violent. It was something far more powerful. Let's start with the immediate aftermath. Picture this. You've just survived a death march. Half your family is gone. You're in a strange land with no food, no shelter, no medicine. Most nations would collapse. But within months, the Cherokee were rebuilding. By 1839, just 1 year after the Trail of Tears, they drafted a new constitution in Oklahoma. They reopened schools in log cabins. They replanted crops in unfamiliar soil. This wasn't just survival. This was defiance. Now fast forward to the Civil War era. Here's where things get interesting. The Cherokee were divided. Some sided with the Union, others with the Confederacy. But when the war ended, they played politics masterfully. They leveraged their position to force the U.S. to acknowledge their sovereignty. In 1866, they got new treaties recognizing their rights. Think about that. Just 28 years after being nearly exterminated, they were already back at the negotiating table as equals. But the real revenge came in the 20th century. The U.S. thought the Indian problem was over. They were wrong. In 1906, Cherokee lawyers began suing the government for violating every single treaty. And they kept winning. In 1946, they secured the Indian Claims Commission to demand compensation. In the 1970s, they forced the return of sacred lands. By 2020, Cherokee Nation businesses were generating over $2 billion annually. That's not a comeback. That's a takeover. Let's talk cultural revenge. The government banned Cherokee language in schools. Today, there are Cherokee immersion programs. They burned sacred texts. Now those texts are reprinted and taught. They tried to erase Cherokee art. Today, Cherokee artists sell paintings for 6 figures. They silenced Cherokee voices. Now Cherokee journalists run national media outlets. Every attempt to destroy their culture backfired spectacularly. The ultimate irony? The Cherokee now hold power over their former oppressors. Their casinos fund scholarships for Cherokee students. Their legal teams defend other tribes. Their language apps teach new generations. And here's the kicker. They've bought back over 5,000 acres of their original homeland in North Carolina. Land stolen at gunpoint is now legally theirs again. But the most powerful revenge? Legacy. The Cherokee Phoenix newspaper, founded in 1828, still publishes today. Their struggle inspired the civil rights movement. Their court cases protect all native tribes. And every time a Cherokee student graduates, an elder speaks their language, or their flag flies over reclaimed land, the Trail of Tears loses. The U.S. government tried to erase them. Instead, they became unstoppable. So when we say revenge, we don't mean vengeance. We mean rising so high that your oppressors have no choice but to look up at you. That's the Cherokee story, and it's still being written. If you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating stories from the past. I share new videos every week uncovering the events and people that shaped our world. Join our community of history enthusiasts, hit subscribe, and never miss an episode.